So, good morning or good night, depending on where you are in the world. And welcome to another episode of Is It That Bad, where we take a look at an album, in this case, a new album that just came out this Friday. And it's from a band from the late 90s, beginning of the 2000s that was huge. Back in the day, we talked about one of their albums on a video for the live listening radio channel. And we're talking about we're talking about P.O.D with their new album called Veritas. So this is the album cover. I don't know.
Jump scare.
This little girl doesn't want to see P.O.D for some reason, and this is the album cover. I have no idea what Veritas is, but yeah. Someone in the comments, or if someone knows, just let me know. I didn't do I didn't do my research of what Veritas is, but I did listen to this album. More, first of all, it's 34 minutes, so it's an album that goes by fairly quickly. So you know the drill. We have the first round where we have the first impressions, then the second round where we pick the free tracks that maybe we think are the worst, and then we vote thumbs up, thumbs sideways, thumbs down, and we give our final impressions. So joining me again on the channel, I have Nick Zeno from Nick Zeno Music. Nick, how are you?
Good, Hector. Thanks for having me on the channel again. Appreciate it.
Yeah, thank you for coming back. And we have JC Rock and Metal Reviews, who at this point I owe him some money for all the videos he's been on. JC, how are you?
I'm doing good, thanks.
Yes, I'll send you a PayPal or a Venmo. And finally, we have all the way from Australia, our friend Chile. So Chile, how are you, man?
Very good. Thank you again for having me on this lovely panel. I guess with all the money that you owe him, you can pay him on death. Who knows?
You're payable on death. So, so this year, we've decided to do a lot of like newer albums because last week we had Alien Ant Farm. Now we have P.O.D. In a few weeks we have Trap. And the question I have, like, what fucking year is it? like, is it 2001? I don't know. I'm confused with all these bands dropping albums. Like, so yeah. So P.O.D, like, it's a band that, they were huge in the scene. They're very known for being a Christian metal band, and they have their Christian beliefs. And something very important about this album. This is the first album that Wu, the drummer, is not from in the album. Apparently, he left a few years ago, and now they have, I think the drummer, I gotta read the drummer from, I think I forgot the name of the band right now, but they have a new drummer, but, they're a free piece, and Wu left, so this is the first album without him. So, yeah, so like for this one, let's start the first round, first impressions. Nick, what were your first impressions of Veritas?
Well, I like this listening experience. I was never a huge P.O.D fan, but I remember those big singles, Alive and Youth of a Nation and Boom and all those huge songs that were on the radio. Actually, the best track by P.O.D, I don't know if you guys know this one, is Sleeping Awake from the Matrix Reloaded soundtrack.
Yes.
That was a really cool
song.
That's
how Sleeping Awake.
Yeah,
that
was a great song. Track. Yeah, totally. So I haven't listened to anything, I don't think, in about last 20 years or so. And you're saying, Hector, it's funny because like all these bands are back making new music, like they never left. And I think they've been continuing on, but we just, now we're paying more attention because people are feeling nostalgic for this type of music, I think.
Come on, Hoobastank.
Yeah, Hoobastank's up next. For me, like I said, I was never a huge fan of them when they were around. I knew the singles, but I think now I'm more inclined to like this band and this record more than I did back in the past, because I like a lot of heavier music now. I wasn't really into that back at the time. So, and the thing was, I really felt like this listening experience was similar to when we were talking about the Alien Ant Farm album, because I don't think these guys are anything special in terms of songwriting, but they're a decent band who can put together a good rock song. And they struck me on this as being kind of like a a more bland, radio friendly, less aggressive version of Rage Against the Machine. You know, if Rage Against the Machine had no edge to them at all, and they weren't really raging all that much, just a little bit, that would be P.O.D. But I like this album. I think a lot of the lyrics were really positive, which was really nice as well. It's the type of lyrics that make you, I guess, want to believe in yourself and, you know, the power of yourself. So I felt this was an enjoyable listening experience.
Nice. Yeah, so the first you enjoyed the first run through. So what about you, JC?
Yeah, I was a fan of P.O.D when Satellite came out. I have that album. I enjoyed that one a lot. I like the Fundamental Elements of Southtown. I like that one. I don't think I've really listened to the other ones. I kind of like just forgot about the band. So when I went into this one, first of all, they released like 5 singles, and so a lot of this has been out. These songs have been out for a while, so I think I started listening to like the singles as of like last week. So that kind of like, let me get to know some of the songs.
Yeah.
So pretty much like almost like half the album was already out already. So
Yeah.
my first impression is basically it sounds a lot like what I remember from Satellite. It's that same like rap rock. It's some of it sounds dated, but I also find that they're trying to sound a little more relevant with some of the production. There's more like electronic. Some of it sounds more like the pop music of these days. And there's also some more like heavier stuff with the guest stars. We got Randy Blythe. We have Tatiana from Ginger. So there's some like harsher vocals on some of the songs. I thought there was a kind of like a variety. Like some songs sounded like they could have been off like the Satellite album. Other songs they sounded fresh. I don't know if they played like that style on their previous albums because I haven't listened to everything. But I found some stuff that I liked a lot. So some of the songs are very catchy, and when we get to the next round, yeah, there were a few I picked out, but otherwise, yeah, it was just pretty much what I expected. Yeah.
Nice. What about you, Chili?
Just checking on the side here. I think the drummer was Robin Diaz. I believe he played with Courtney Love and Hole. Wow, what a weird mix. But anyway, we got to go back, Marty, except we were already here and it's now. And all these bands that were in the new metal scene, they're releasing all these albums. Hey, so, Alien Ant Farm, Limp Bizkit, Papa Roach, unfortunately. But anyway, the album is P.O.D.'s coming out now. Like JC, I got
Alex
into them
Lopez is the drummer from Suicide Side. Alex
Okay,
Lopez.
okay, maybe I checked that one wrong then. Maybe. But yeah, with like JC was saying, it was basically the same thing. I got into them because of Satellite Boom, Youth of the Nation, all these massive songs, and of course it's a great album, Satellite. Got into them again because of the fundamentals of Southtown. And then I kind of forgot about them. They just, they faded away to my knowledge anyway. But it was only a couple of years ago during COVID when, you were allowed to start walking around that I got back into them. I just went back into POD. I saw the album The Awakening, which was 2015. And I was listening to it when I would walk around, and it was a great album. It's for those who aren't aware, it's a concept album as well, which
I
is
remember
probably
that one.
yeah, it's like probably the first concept album ever written by a new metal band. So that is really odd, but it does pretty good. I think it's
Wait,
got some.
man. Are you saying chocolate starfish and the hot dog flavored water is that a concept record?
No, I think it doesn't cut the jib, but no. So yeah, I got into them again only a couple of years ago, so I've heard some of the recent stuff, and I like that one. Also, this year marks 30 years from their debut album, Snuff the Punk, which I haven't listened to, and I went back to listen to it, and wow, the Christian the Christian lyrics are strong on that record. But anyway, yeah, I listened to a couple of the singles before the record came out. Um, yeah, they were okay. And then finally the album dropped. I've
They're
listened to it
there.
for they're there, that's right. And then the album dropped and like you said, luckily, I mean, it's a 34-minute album. Luckily, we're not doing Dream Theater where it's probably going to be an hour and a half. But yeah, it's a concise record except for maybe a couple of tracks. But I'll get into that a bit more.
Nice. So my first impression of this album, I've listened to some of the singles and stuff, and I don't know. I love what Nick said. They sound like Rage Against the Machines, but if they weren't angry, and you know what? That's not a good thing. I would say a lot of like this songs sound generic. Uh, at least to me, they sound very generic, and uh, the production, the production on this record is just too it sounds too like modern for me. I don't know. It sounds like that modern where it's like everything's so crisp and that like it takes away a little bit of the soul of the band, if you will. Yes, there's stuff here that I enjoyed, but it was like a album that you would listen to, and sometimes the songs blended together for me. So, but I just listened to this today, but since it's 34 minutes, people feel like, oh, you hadn't seen with the album. I listened to this like I listened to it a lot today. Since it's 34 minutes, I'm like, I put it on repeat and listen to it to see if like something would change. So yeah, I have a few thoughts on it that I will talk more about in the rounds to come. So let's go to round two. So Nick, what three songs did you pick that you didn't enjoy as much?
The first one that I'm going to list is called Drop, which I think was one of the singles released before the record. But this one just grated on my nerves a little bit. The repeating of like, let it drop, let it rock, let it rock, let it rock, let it rock over and over and over again. It was really, really, really repetitive. The thing about the good thing about a song like that is these would be great. Like if I was a wrestler, this would be great wrestling entrance music in general. So that would be a good entrance song, drop somebody in the ring and, get all hyped up. I Won't Bow Down was another one. Like Hector, you said, it's very generic and all the songs just blend into each other. I listened to it a couple of times as well, just to get more of a handle on each of the individual songs. And this one was one of those ones that just blended into the next as I was getting towards the end of the album. And that usually is how it is with a lot of albums. They're very front loaded. All the great tracks are at the front. The second half can be a little bit weaker. I did like some of the tracks after that, so it kind of picked things up. It was a little bit up and down throughout listening to it. And then the other one that I didn't really dig was called We Are One, Our Struggle. It sounded like the kind of song that P.O.D could write in their sleep, the type of song they've written a million times over already.
Sleeping
with the
awake.
stereotypical, yeah, exactly. With like the whoa, 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 it was very, very much very generic, very typical P.O.D. And that's the thing I guess you could say about them in general is that they haven't really, we were talking about Silverchair on the other episode of Is It That Bad, where we're talking about there's too much evolution, and then with P.O.D there's absolutely no evolution over the last 20 years or so. So those will be the weak tracks for me.
Yeah, and for people like that, Silverchair is tomorrow. But yeah, so yeah, this let's go to now JC. What tracks did you pick?
Picked track 4, Dead Right. It was just very commercial sounding. I think some of the songs sounded like they came like from like a pop album. It was just even like the softer vocals. This one didn't really do it for me. The next one I did was the one right after, track 5, Breaking. That's like one of those like rap songs. I I thought he's trying to like sound like Eminem. Like that's what I think it was that's what I got from it. But it's like Eminem doing like a metalcore song. It was again the same kind of thing you would expect. It has like the clean parts, the chorus was kind of catchy, but otherwise that was one of the weaker songs. And and that one that Nick just mentioned, We Are One, Our Struggle. Very generic. It kind of sounds just like they rewrote like Youth of the Nation. Like it's just it's just very retro, sounds very dated. And it just even like the lyrics is just the typical, uplifting lyrics, but it just sounded very generic for me. So
Yeah.
that's it. Those are my three.
I have a question for you guys. Did you think the rapping sounded like that episode of The Office where Michael and Dwight are like, Scranton, the Electric City? What? No, just me?
Yeah, no,
I've
I
never
do.
watched. I've never watched it.
I never watched it, really got into The Office.
Oh, well, there's a part, yeah, like there's a part where they rap, it's Scranton, the Electric City. So I don't know why I thought of that on the rapping on this
Oh.
record. Yeah, so Chili, what tracks did you pick and why?
Oh God, JC, you completely derailed me when you said Eminem and metalcore in the one sentence. Because all I can picture is just him just standing there with his singlet, like, "Open up this pit, yo." You know, it's just, it's just, oh God, why? But anyway, I'm gonna go with Drop. Yeah, that single sucks. It's just, it's such a bad average song because it builds, it's starting to get somewhere, and then it just stops. It's like this generic metalcore song, and as far as Randy's vocals are concerned,
They're
like
non-fucking existent.
he just says burn over and over again. It's like they just walked up to him like in a studio. They're walking between the studios going, "Hey, what was that name of your first band?" "Oh, that's right, Burn the Priest." "Yeah, okay." And then they just captured that sound and used it just over and over again in the background. It just doesn't exist. Why do they even bother featuring Randy Blythe logo thing? It's
I
anyway. So Drop sucks. It really does. But it's so metalcore. Like you know how when metalcore they build up, like okay, we're about to do a breakdown. This doesn't even break down. It just
it's
stops.
just take a break.
It just drops. The entire song just drops. Like, okay, that's how they got the name of the song. Okay, that makes sense now. Yeah, so that one, yeah, I didn't like that. Afraid to Die, I didn't. I don't know why. It just seems to be like all these singles that came from the band, sorry, from the record, and with these guest vocals, they just didn't do it for me. They feel impersonal. I don't know. There's this level of disconnection somewhere, but I just don't think that the band or this song in particular was really that good or impressionable. Very forgettable, I guess. And the last track I'll probably go with is yeah, I guess I Won't Bow Down as well. It was yeah, it's funny because like POD's got a pretty decent track record with a lot of things, but in music. But these singles have been really bad picks because there's a lot of other tracks in there that could have been lead singles and were probably better suited than the songs that they've picked. I don't know. It just very weird.
I
Very weird.
agree. So first of all, Jane's Addiction called. They want the intro to their album. But like
Yes.
I'm sorry. If you're not Jane's Addiction, no, it's Juana's Adicción. It's not P.O.D. Like when I first listened to this, I'm like, oh my God, this is a blatant fucking ripoff of a Jane's Addiction introduction. Like,
Yeah, I forgot about that.
oh no, I'm not gonna forget about that. No, P.O.D. No, I've already listened to that intro, and it's better on the stop song. So that song dropped. That song fucking sucks. They have Randy.
Drop the song.
You know what's to have Randy? I was listening to him. I'm like, where the fuck is Randy? Like, you have a vocalist from Lamb of God that his vocals are very like. If you're gonna have, I had this discussion with the band Ingested that I interviewed, and he has in the album he had some vocalists, but they sing with him and they trade off. And in that interview with him, we were talking like he hated when people have like guest stars on the record and they don't do anything. So I'm like, where's Randy? He's like, burn. I'm like, really? That's so they just put that name because he's a big name and he's going to get metalheads to listen to that song. But yeah, it sounds like a generic song that like a wrestler would go out to. It's just a horrible way to start the album. It's like drop, and it has like the most like mid rapping in the world. It's just a very bad opening track. And I gotta say, the other single, "Afraid to Die," featuring Tatiana from Ginger. First of all, I'm not a fan of Ginger. And also on this song, what the fuck does she do on this track? I could barely hear her as well. She's like way in
She
the
turns
back.
up for the video clip.
Yeah, you know what? Katy Perry was on a POD record on a
What?
song. Yes, Katy Perry was on a POD song from the Testify album, and she actually sings more on that song than what Ginger like. Nick's like, really, Katy Perry? Yes, Katy Perry. Like,
I just don't remember that.
yes, Google what?
Fireworks.
No. So yeah, that song with the Ginger front woman, it just doesn't go anywhere. I thought it was boring. And then the other song I would pick, I would say I won't bow down because I don't know, it just sounds like something that they I would say We Are One would go like I would pick both of them. I think that song I won't bow down and We Are One are equally bad and cheesy and generic. And again, yeah, they didn't do anything for me. And at the ending of the album, they have the boys talking again, like with the we hope that you enjoy the Veritas. It's all about love. I'm like, oh, fuck off.
Tell you where to stick your love.
Yeah, I'm like, I'm sorry, POD fans, but I'm not gonna hold back on this one. So yes, we voted on tracks. Now we're going to round three, where we give a thumbs up, thumbs sideways, or thumbs down. So Nick, your thoughts on this one?
I'm gonna give it a thumbs sideways because I didn't love the record overall. It was just mediocre overall, but it did have some strong tracks on it. I felt it actually picked up a little bit in the second half. There's a song on this album called "Lies We Tell Ourselves," which reminded me almost like it sounded more like Weezer than it did POD.
Yeah.
So I thought that was kind of cool, and I thought maybe they could have used it really. I don't know if that was released as one of the singles, but that could have been a decent single for them to release before this album came out. But pretty much every song on this album is the same with some minor variations. They're just doing the same thing over and over and over again. And I do like the one thing I do like about POD is there's like a positive overall outlook, I think, for a lot of their songs, where they're trying to, it's a lot of fist in the air and themic choruses, which is always something I really enjoy. And there are some cool guitar riffs on here as well. But I don't really see POD as an album band. I can only really take them in small doses. Even if the album is only 34 minutes, that's plenty of POD for me for one listening session. So I'm gonna give it that solid thumb sideways.
Nice. But maybe they'll throw like a rosary or something in the concert.
We kneel for a minute.
Well, I went to a Striper concert last week, and they threw some Bibles. So yeah.
Why?
So yeah, I don't know, but they didn't hit me. So
that would hurt.
I don't want to tell you what they throw at Behemoth concerts.
No. So
or cattle decapitation.
No. What about you, JC?
Okay, I don't know. I'm kind of like almost I'm going sideways because there's some stuff here that I kind of liked. When everybody picked the first song, "Drop," I didn't pick that one, even though it was like I didn't hate it. It's kind of cheesy, kind of catchy, but the lyrics were the lyrics are basically a ripoff of a Def Leppard song. They have a song called "Rock Rock Till You Drop" on their Pyromania album, and so they just. It's basically like the same lyrics, like almost like word for word.
Oh
But
my
other
God.
than that, I didn't hate the song.
They dropped Randy. He's barely on the track.
Yeah. Drop the vocal levels.
Yeah. The other songs, "Afraid to Die" with Tatiana, was not too bad. The "Lay Me Down," that one was okay. A little bit of like grunge and metal on that one. A lot of you guys picked "I Won't Bow Down." I didn't hate that one, but it reminded me a lot of them trying to sound like Linkin Park. That's what I got from that one. Then there was This Is My Life, kind of like a little bit of punk rock, a little bit of grunge. And that song, Lies We Tell Ourselves, super catchy song. I think that's probably my favorite on the album. It reminds me of like almost like a Green Day type of song. Or like Nick said, Weezer. I hear that now as well, but that one is like just a very catchy song. So I think like that song alone probably like saves it from like the thumbs down. And then the last song was pretty good as well, called Feeling Strange. They had the like reggae, kind of reminded me of like those 90s bands like Sublime or Everlast when they did a little bit of that like acoustic rap with like a little bit of that like reggae sound. That's like one of those like subgenres we don't hear much.
Or
I like
elements
that.
of
So the
funk
last track
down
was pretty good.
Southtown.
Yeah.
Mm.
Yeah, they did that a lot on the Southtown album as well. Um, so yeah, so that's why it's a thumb sideways. There's some good stuff here, some stuff I'll go back to, but I'll probably like instead of listening to the whole thing like front to back, I might like pick songs and throw them on a playlist. But other than that, sideways for me,
Mm.
yeah.
Yeah,
Nice.
okay.
What about you, Sheely?
Oh, when you told me about this one, I'm like, I'm not gonna go with the sideways. I'm either gonna go up or down, you know? So I had to make a decision real quick on this one. But I've had a lot of time as well to listen to it. Being in Australia, a good thing. I get the whole 24 hours ahead of you
For
guys.
sure.
So I've listened to this for probably another 24 hours on top of you guys, which is a bonus or negative in depending on your look on the album. But yeah, I mean, the one thing we didn't discuss was that James Wan looking album cover. It's just so full on
Uh,
compared to, I mean, for a positive album, like an album
Let
with
me show
positive
it again.
lyrics. Yeah, sure.
Yeah, yeah, for a like it's for a positive album, I'm like, it's also positive, and then you have this like death
What is
metal like
going,
album cover.
yeah, what is going on with this James Wan looking, insidious still frame or something like that? It just looks really odd. Um, Album artwork aside, I
Maybe this
guess.
is what the album did to her.
Yeah, it didn't blow her ears out. It blew her eyes out. It was just
It
that good.
blinded me. You blinded me, P.O.D.
It's like that
My
scene
eyes
out of the
have
Ark.
dropped.
It's like the scene out of the Ark, and he opens it up.
Yeah, I
I
also
can't take
thought
it.
the album cover looks strange for like they're so I'm like it doesn't go with the
Yeah,
music. Yeah.
this is some metalcore something from Australia. I don't know. Anyway, it does not suit the band. But anyway, looking past that, thankfully it is 34 minutes long, which is a bit of a bonus. But the good songs for me, at least, were the songs between the singles. So, I thought I Got That was a really good song. I liked Dead Right. It kind of reminded me a bit like Mammal, actually, which is an Australian
I have a
group.
question. What exactly did he get? He's like, I
Who?
got that. What the fuck did you get? You never say
Oh,
what
he got syphilis. You don't.
Oh my god, the
So,
POD fan base are gonna throw rosaries at us.
oh my God, yeah, I need it. I need it. Praise be to Jeebus or POD. But yeah, Dead Right I thought it was a great song. I liked it. Lay Me Down, Rue song was a catchy tune. I liked that song as well. But ignoring the singles, I guess. It's definitely got some solid tunes, at least in my opinion. I thought there was a really solid POD songs. Not the strongest they've written, definitely not the strongest, but worthy of, I guess, being, under the POD mantle. Yeah. So as far as like the singles go, bad, bad. But as far as the tunes outside of that on the rest of the album, it's like, yeah, this is pretty good stuff that I can pop my head to and, really enjoy. So for me, it's a thumbs up.
Wow.
Yeah.
I'm surprised you gave it a thumbs up, man. So yeah, so that leaves me. So yeah, I think the singles kind of suck. But there's some track. I like Chile. I feel the same way. I like Dead Right. I actually like the song Breaking. I like Lay Me Down. Uh, this is My Life. I think that was the best one of the songs that had like a guest vocals on it. And the Lies We Tell Ourselves, yeah, was I enjoyed part of that. But is it a thumbs up for me? No. I'm going sideways as well. I'm like, there's some stuff here that that's very, very bad. But you know what? So there you have it. The album is saved. Almost like it was almost a myth, but Chile gave it a thumbs up. So we want to know from you, Couchers, what do you think of P.O.D Veritas? What are your favorite tracks from it? And like, what would you get? Thumbs up, thumbs sideways, or thumbs down? So we said, it's not that bad, but you know what? I actually enjoyed Alien Ant Farm record more than this one.
Oh, get out of here.
No way.
Get out.
I don't know. There were some of the tracks there that I think I enjoyed more than this one.
Oh no. I've
Put
copped
them-
enough.
put them
I've copped
together, you
enough
can have
hate.
one good album. Yeah.
I've copped enough hate on that. I've copped enough hate on that review.
But yeah, those are our thoughts. So we want to know from you people for this album. And please, if you haven't subscribed to my channels, you have Nick Zeno Music. He does rock album reviews. He interviews bands as well. And he also plays some Oasis covers and stuff and on his channel.
Wonderful.
Yeah. And you have JC Rock and Metal Reviews. He does album rankings, album reviews, so subscribe to him as well. And Live Listening Erase, he's got the album reviews as well, some interviews as well, and he's got the Live Listening Erase show. And of course, I have Is It That Bad interviews and album reviews. So yeah, so coming up this Sunday, because this week we have two Is It That Bad? So we have this one, and we have a Chili Pig. We're talking about Silverchair, Young Modern. So woo, listen. For that one, that will be on Sunday. And for the new Is It That Bad? I think we're gonna cover. There's gonna be Blink-182 album that we're gonna cover. 6 Feet Under. I know that Trapped has a new album coming out at the end of May, and we'll talk about that. So there's stuff to cover. So please let us know what more can we cover. So until next time, people, this is Hector, the Shield Dude on a couch, and I'll see you all right here on the couch for another episode of Is It That Bad? Thank you and goodbye.